In 2011, civil war erupted in Syria and triggered violence, loss of livelihood, cultural, religious, and social persecution, and the mass exodus of nearly 7 million citizens. In response, Canada began to welcome and resettle Syrian refugees in 2015. To address their psychosocial needs and support their adaptation processes in Canada, researchers at the University of Alberta began a project. In this video, we share with you the hows of this project, how we implemented it, and how it contributed to academic knowledge of psychosocial adaptation processes following trauma and migration to a new country. While settlement support for refugees involves addressing immediate physical and mental health needs, the focus of this project is on Syrian refugees' psychosocial needs. The project is based on two theoretical frameworks of immigrant social integration and psychosocial adaptation after violence and trauma, the domains of integration model, and the adaptation and development after persecution and trauma, or ADAPT model. In combination, these frameworks are tools that can help understand how individuals who are refugees make sense of their experiences and facilitate the process of integrating into a new society. The ADAPT model has 5 core pillars that illustrate common psychosocial challenges and strengths amongst refugees who have experienced trauma: safety, attachment and bonds, identity and roles, justice, and existential meaning. The Domains of Integration framework identifies rights and citizenship, safety and stability, cultural knowledge, and social connections as key factors in a migrant's integration experience. In this framework, attaining employment, housing, education, and good health are both markers and means of integration. Understanding the relationship between these different domains assists refugees in recognizing the barriers to integration that they face and the sites of possible solutions. Combining the two frameworks allowed us to identify psychosocial adaptation as an important part of the integration process. It also helped to identify refugee psychosocial needs and strengths during resettlement and integration. Using community learning for empowerment groups, or CLEGs, this study offered spaces for Syrian refugees to share their psychosocial needs and strengths and find community-based solutions together. Led by community-selected natural leaders, those who participated in the CLEGs explored their pre, trans, and post-migration experiences prompted by topics reflecting the ADAPT model's pillars. The project's focus on community empowerment and community-driven change reflects the principles of community-based participatory research, the methodological approach used in this study. A key objective of community-based participatory research is equitable partnership with the community members, which involves power sharing and decision-making. In this project, natural leaders in the Syrian community were equal members of the research team, along with culture brokers. Culture brokers were Syrian community members who, drawing on their cultural and contextual knowledge, acted as cultural liaisons and translators. Together, Syrian community leaders and culture brokers worked with other members of the research team to design and implement the project. So what was involved? The project was made up of 3 phases. The first phase focused on training Syrian community leaders and developing the CLEG facilitation materials. In this phase, we recruited 7 Syrian community members to become CLEG leaders. Each leader was responsible for running a group during phase 2. Leaders were trained in data collection methods, group facilitation, the ADAPT model, and basic trauma-informed practice. All members of the research team, including the Syrian leaders, engaged in a collaborative process to co-create a facilitation guide to help run the CLEG sessions. In Phase 2, CLEG sessions were facilitated by the trained Syrian community leaders and culture brokers. 7 CLEG groups were formed with other members of the Syrian refugee community, and each group held 7 CLEG sessions. Each session used the learning circle format, where members were invited to reflect on their individual and shared experiences about that particular pillar and discuss solutions. For example, members of each CLEG talked about their experiences of safety in Syria, in transition countries, and after resettlement in Canada. They discussed their individual and community strengths around building safety and shared solutions to challenges to feeling safe that they still experienced. Phase 2 also involved focus groups with Syrian CLEG leaders and culture brokers to debrief and reflect on the community learning for empowerment groups. The focus groups were an opportunity to discuss key learnings about members' needs, strengths, and challenges, and observe emerging community solutions. At the end of Phase 2, the research team began the process of analyzing data collected from both the CLEG discussions and the focus groups. Phase 3 focused on completing data analysis, member checking, and knowledge mobilization activities. One key knowledge mobilization product was creating a CLEG resource manual so that the same approach could be used with other refugee groups in the future. We also developed a solutions toolkit that offered guidance to other refugees on how to best manage adaptation during early years of resettlement. This project offered a unique approach to exploring psychosocial adaptation among Syrians who had arrived in Canada as refugees. Using both the ADAPT and domains of integration frameworks, the creation of CLEGs opened a space for community sharing and beginning healing. It also helps Syrian leaders and participants to understand their own psychosocial strengths and needs as they settled and integrated in Canada, and provided opportunities to discuss these in a group setting. By focusing not only on challenges but also solutions, this project empowered Syrians to identify solutions that were meaningful to them and that they could implement themselves. As such, this project has contributed to academic knowledge of Syrian refugees' psychosocial adaptation and integration using community learning for empowerment groups, while also supporting their adaptive process in Canada. For more information on this project and what we learned, please visit the project website.